On the way to the track, I felt very good. I will say most mornings I feel pretty good. I get quite a bit of sleep typically, but for the morning of a race, I felt especially good. Track walk felt really good just because I knew walking that track, I was just getting excited. I walked the whoops. I was pumped on the whoops. And seeing how it got on press day, I was like, all right, this is going to be my type of track. So I was just excited. And then when free practice takes off, free practice is not timed. It is 8 minutes where you just get to go out and learn the track. They do have your lap times, so you can see where you stand, but the lap times don't matter. But for those of you that aren't super involved, or I guess even if you are super involved, a lot of people might not know this. Guys throw down laps in free practice. It sort of just sets the tone for the day. Not that it counts for anything, but people look at those times, people reference those times. So you can kind of make a statement early on. And I've been trying to do that this season and have the guys make sure that they show me the time when it's done, just so I could also hold myself accountable when the track starts to get more rough and know what a good lap time should be, but then try to be at the top of the board, especially in B group for free practice. So green flag, waves, I take off dead last like I've been doing in B group, which it works okay, I guess, because when you try to go first, there's 15 guys that try to go first and you just get stuck with everybody. I just let them go so far that I might as well have gone out first. I turned left, tire tap, table over single, triple, first lap, like didn't even roll it. And I was a little slightly nervous because we put those new Talon triple clamps on. And that was the only thing that was new, but I'm like, this could make the bike feel very different. So that was the only thing in my head. But as soon as I did that, I'm like, oh, bike feels great. And we're off to the races. Like skimmed the whoops first lap, jumped the Supercross triple first, did everything first lap. And that alone set the tone. And then I did a 46.9, which was my fastest time all day, actually.
It would have been, in qualifying, the stat was it would have been fastest overall in the 450 class.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that says something. I mean, obviously, by the time the 450s hit it, there was 20 minutes of riding in between us, or 16 minutes of riding in between us. So it makes a difference. But to be the fastest out of the 450s is crazy. But yeah, that was my fastest time of the day, but I did it right away, and that just set the tone. I mean, right from that point, it's like, okay, I'm going to qualify top 10. At least that's what I thought in my head. And first time qualifier, I was top 10 after the first time qualifier also, wasn't I? For some reason, I don't remember that one as clearly.
Yeah, I think you were 10th. Yeah, you were 10th, I believe, overall.
Was I?
After the first qualifier.
First time qualifier, the track was actually getting pretty rutted.
Holy
so,
cow.
Yeah, we ran 48s or 49s in first time qualifier. There was a little frustration setting in because there was quite a few people in my way. But to a certain extent, that level of frustration is okay. It just sort of gets me motivated and just like gets me angry, which I need a little bit of that on race day. But there were definitely guys getting in my way because the way these whoops were developing, I don't think anybody else in my group was skimming them. If there was maybe one person doing it. So everybody else was either just doubling the whoops or just rolling straight down the middle. So it didn't matter how big of a gap I would create. By the time I'd get to the whoop section, I was on top of 3 dudes that were going 3 wide rolling through them. And I'm just like, oh, yeah. Can you guys just please do what I do on a slow lap and just go around the whoops?
Yeah.
Just, I guess, think about what's going on around you a little bit. But I felt really good. And then second time qualifier, they always groom the track. Not entirely, but usually the best that you see that track all day long is free practice, and then that second time qualifier. Well, the heat race, it's pretty darn good as well. But that track's pretty fresh for second time qualifier, minus the whoops. They don't groom the whoops. So you always have to account for that. This track, I knew that they were going to be pretty hairy, but the rest of the track was fast. So I threw down a pretty good time fairly early on, 3 minutes into that. I think I did a 47.1. And there's a couple things that happened on that lap that could have been better, but I knew it was good. I look over, I pop up to the top of the board, which was solid. Mechanic Dan gives me the 47.1, and I'm pretty sure the whole rest of that practice, I was trying to get more laps. It's not like there was been a couple races this year, like Arlington for the Triple Crown, where I did my lap and the track was starting to get hairy, so I knew my time was good enough and I didn't try for another one. This one I was trying for more. It was just I would run into somebody at the perfectly wrong spot and I would have to just restart my lap and then I'd run into somebody again. But I felt really, really good. Feet on the pegs, that track was very conducive to riding with feet on. I don't think I had to put my foot out in a single corner on that entire track. So I don't know if the video does justice to that or not, but yeah, feet were on all day, every single turn, which that was fun. I went up to Hunter before the heat race, and Hunter goes, yeah, Dazzy was showing us footage and he was making us watch you going through the whoops because he said that you were the best one through the whoops and he had us studying what you were doing.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, wow, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Dude, I wish I saw Hunter more during race day. I see Jet
and we
all
had
the time.
Such a cool live stream of that. Mackenzie walked over. We had the live stream going. And of course, I watched back the live stream hoping that Jackson could cut something from it. And the live feed cut out as we were walking into the tunnel.
Why? I was going to go grab it for the vlog, but now there's nothing.
Yeah, we got cool stuff with Cincerillo. We got a really cool conversation with Hunter and his mechanic. It was just a really cool perspective. But that kind of gives me an idea. I want to do that moving forward if we can, because it was cool. Assuming that it had worked, that would have been a really cool perspective for everybody inside the Moto Academy app to see. Because we were right down there in the mix in the tunnel, watching the fireworks go off, watching the guys getting ready to roll out for opening ceremonies. Definitely like something that you don't really see every day.
We were
right.
Heat 2.
Yeah, we thought. And did you hear how many times I kept asking, are you guys sure? Did you double check? Are you sure that I'm Heat 2?
Hey, we double checked. I double checked personally.
Yeah.
The what was to the public said we are in Heat 2. We qualified 9th overall, Heat 2. So the way it works in heat races, Heat 1 are all the even numbers, Heat 2 are all the odd numbers as far as qualifying is concerned. Mm-hmm. And we were an odd number. We were Heat 9. We're going to have 5th gate pick in second heat, and you can explain to what happened because I need the audio for the vlog.
Well, thankfully we were pitted in the tunnel because one of the guys from Star Racing comes running over and goes, you're in Heat 1, get over here immediately. And I'm like, oh, I knew it, because Devin Simonson had a time that I had a feeling wasn't accurate because I saw him crashed in between the finish line. I'm like, pretty high likelihood that his transponder was messed up. And if that was the case, which is what I was thinking that was the case, that would bump everybody into a different heat race because, like you said, odds go to second, evens go to the first heat. So Star Racing comes running over. They're saying you're in first heat, so we scramble over there. Turns out I qualified 8th, not 9th, so that put me 4th gate pick in Heat 1, right behind Deegan. So I walk up to Hayden, and I walk right up to his face and I tap him on the side. And I'm like, don't let the old man beat you. And he just laughs and he goes, yeah, right. I wish we had got it on film.
No, I have the audio.
Oh, you do?
Well, I have it on Dan, so you can barely hear it. So I don't know if it'll make it in the video or not. But what was funny is he kind of answered as if he thought you were serious. And he's like, oh, I don't know if that'll happen, buddy.
But I think from my recollection, I'm pretty sure I passed them on the first lap in the heat.
Yes, so that is what happened. Then that's the best part. You say, don't let the old man beat you. You go out and you pass him in the whoops on the very first lap.
Oh, I did. Okay, the first lap in the heat is so chaotic. It's hard to tell who you pass and who's passing you. But I thought I remember seeing me go by him in the whoops, which is funny. And then I think I let him by after the finish line.
Yeah.
Going in that left-hander. Because when a Star Racing bike is behind you, it sounds like it's inside of you. Like you can just feel it. Like it just is so loud that you can feel it in your chest. And I'm like, yep, that's Deegan. I'm just going to let him by. And I think I let him right around the outside of me. But yeah, so start line of the heat race. Let's see. I was 4th gate pick. I went, I think, five gates from the doghouse on the left. And I was pretty confident at that point. So my goal on that start, all of the fast guys, everybody that had a gate pick time qualifying in front of me was lined up to my right. So my goal was, okay, the 7 guys or however many were to my left, they are not beating me to the first turn. That was essentially my goal for that start. As long as I beat all of the guys to my left to this first turn, we're going to be in a pretty good spot here. Gate drops, good jump out of the gate. Shift to third was clean. 1 bike from my inside skates by, and I think it was actually Simonson on the Cowie, who Simonson is the one who caused all of the chaos in the first couple laps of that heat race. I don't know what you can see based on what you filmed, but nothing against him, but he was horrible in the whoops and he was causing everybody to go everywhere in the whoops. And then he was, he doubled the triple on the first lap when there was nobody in front of him. He definitely should have tripled it.
Yikes.
And I tripled it directly behind him. I'm talking, I have never been so close to landing on somebody in a Supercross triple in my entire life. As soon as I took off, I was like, oh, wow, this is really not going to be good. I was like, I tapped the rear brake, I leveled out, expecting to land on his back.
So you're just like, well, this is going to happen.
Yeah, I was just leveling out to like get ready to land on his back. And the way he scrubbed the landing of the triple, because he went double single, when he scrubbed the landing, it put him just off to the left to where I came down and essentially like skimmed his shoulder. I was so close on the way down. And at that point, I was just furious. I'm like, get this guy out of my way, because everybody else that was around us were, fast dudes. And he just was riding a little all over the place. I don't care if I say that, to be honest. I mean, he seems like a nice kid, but he was just riding a little over his head maybe, or just making mistakes. Happens to the best of us. And so that first lap was a bit of a blur. But then I got settled in, and I think I started catching the guys in front of me. There was a
Came out like 6th place, I think.
Did I?
I thought so. I thought at some point you were like up there. But then again, timing and scoring was so screwed up. I didn't know where you were the whole time.
It was hard to tell. I think after the pass and the whoops, I might have been 6th, and then I had to roll the I jumped the triple. But that whole chaos in the triple situation might have bumped me back a few spots. I was probably in between 6th to 8th.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling I was up there. I knew I was up there. So that was the only reason I went for that triple and was pushing on that first lap, because I'm like, okay, tonight's not a night I'm going to let this slip away in the heat race. I'm going to actually push and see how deep into this moto I can push it. Even though it's just the heat race, it's a long time to be going at that intensity. And holy cow, I forgot what that intensity felt like. We were doing 47s and low 48s, which my qualifying time was a 47. So to do that in consecutive laps, I was exhausted. They put out the 2 sticks with the X, and I obviously, come to think of it, makes most sense. That would mean halfway. I thought it meant 2 laps left. Not that I don't do these races all the time or anything. I thought it meant 2 laps left.
I know it means halfway.
I was so tired, I guess, that I was just delirious. So then when I came around the next lap and there was no white flag, I'm like, oh no. And then next lap, no white flag again. I'm like, oh no. But thankfully, we had created such a gap behind us that when I did get the white flag, Mechanic Dan gave me the pit board. It said P8. I turned around and saw that there was only one guy behind me and there was nobody else behind him. So I just cruised on the last lap.
And it was Talon Hawkins, right?
Talon Hawkins went by me. We doubled through the whoops on that last lap, nice and slow. And there was nobody behind me, but I was toast. Let
me just say, maybe it was because you were up there and like I knew you were right on the bubble somewhere. I didn't know exactly where you were. Mm-hmm. But I was like, that pace was insane in that heat race.
It did seem like one of those heats that just worked itself out to where the pace was the pace was very, very, very fast.
It was insane. It looked terrifying. Like the pace looked terrifying, dude. I was like watching all you guys and I'm like, they are going so fast. And like with 2 or 3 laps to go is when, because I know what your riding looks like, right? And I know when you're like gassed. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Because what, you know what's funny? This is actually where I noticed
where could you notice it the most? After the finish?
No, you know the tire tap?
Oh, yeah.
You come in like the second to last lap and like 4-fingered pop the clutch to do the tire tap. And I'm like, he's going to die.
Yeah. That was actually that and the whoops became the tire tap was actually maybe the scariest part of the track at that point in the heat, because I was just so tired. I couldn't like be precise with that.
No, it didn't look precise at all.
No.
Like, it looked like get the front end up, whatever it takes. Like,
oh my God.
Oh,
well,
epic.
That was a big monkey off my back. I mean, I haven't made it through a heat race. I had a lot of people saying, congratulations, first time ever through the heat. Like, that's how long it's been. A lot of people, even people that know me sort of well, thought that was my first time ever making it through a heat race, which I'm trying to think back to what year it would have been. I mean, it very well could have been since 2015 that I've qualified through a heat, which that's a long time ago.
Yeah, you were gassed. So I stayed out there just in case. And then I run down and you're not even like just on the ground. You're like contorted and curled up kind of and halfway under like a fence.
Oh yeah, I was under that fence for some reason.
Don't know how you got there. Would have loved to see how you got there. And
no
and Jamie's just gently pulling your arms into the air to try to get the blood out of them. And you're just like, ah. Like,
I was so pumped up that the arm pump hurt so bad that it was just the most painful arm pump ever. I was toast. But like when I got 3/4 through that race, I'm like, well, I'm not giving up now. And it was kind of like when Roxon described when he pulled off and he on the podium, he said, I just kept telling myself one more lap. That was me out there in 8th place in that heat race. Just one more lap, just one more lap, just one more lap, because a heat race felt like forever. And the fact that those guys in the 450 class can do 20 minutes at the pace that they do it at, I can't even fathom that,
dude,
to be quite honest. The heat race I can hold on, barely. But the main event, I tried for that first, I don't know, I probably survived 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and then my legs gave out. I was completely winded, and then the track fell apart in addition to that, and I just went back into survival mode. If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, go download them. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I think that's it. Go download them there, give them a listen. If you want to watch full episodes, which I tell you what, it's even better to do that, go to club.themotoacademy.com, because Moto Academy subscribers inside of the app have exclusive access to watch the entire episodes. And not only that, the subscribers actually can send in their questions to be answered on the podcast as well. Club.themotoacademy.com. Go subscribe.